Everybody, it's Ted Prodromo, and it's kind of informal Tuesdays with Ted. Just kind of chatting with Nina, my friend, who, gosh, it's been 2 or 3 years now we met online.
It's been around that long, yes.
Yeah. Well, the whole pandemic thing, it just kind of, there's this 2 year gap in our lives.
Where'd those 2 years go?
Right. So you're known as a mindset coach, and you hear that all the time. I see, oh, there's millions of people. I'm a mindset coach. Like, what does that really mean?
It means that, well, for me, I look at everything from the other way around to the way most people look at life. Most people think that people influence their lives or situations trip them up in life and things get in their way. But I look at it the other way around. I look at it from the way of it's we are creating from within. Our thoughts influence what's going on out there into the physical world. So it's always from inside out rather than from outside in. And when I grasped this, and I heard this many times, and I never really believed it to be true, because I thought it was my childhood that made me lose confidence, and that it was a certain person who'd done something to me that had knocked my career sideways. And I was always blaming and never took responsibility for myself and for my results. And it was only when I'd heard it lots of different times that penny finally dropped. And I thought, okay, so if I'm responsible for everything that's showing up in my life, that's good, because that sort of puts me in control. And I don't know about you, but I really had a feeling from a lot of my life that I was not in control of my life, and that I was like a leaf being tossed around by the wind, by what other people were saying, and that would cause me to feel a certain way. And then when I thought, okay, so if it's all me, then I can change that. But I had to find a way to make those changes. I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea. I remember my first two self-help books I ever bought. And I remember going into a bookshop probably in it may have been late 80s, early 90s. And there was a section in the bookshop, it may have been called self-help or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never heard of self-help. And I remember browsing in this section thinking, this is really interesting, because I think I had the type of thinking that believed in this type of stuff, even though I never really come across it properly before. And I remember buying two books that day. I bought Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And I bought these two books home and I studied them and I did all the exercises. And it just sort of opened up a little something in my thinking about, so, there were a lot of success stories in these books. Oh, people have changed their lives by changing their thoughts. And this to me was just like mind blowing. And if that was the beginning of my personal development journey, I had lots of stops and starts. For years, I didn't do anything. And then I switched back into it again, did lots of trainings, and just try to find that magic bullet that was going to make me feel confident, that's going to make me feel comfortable in my own skin, make me feel I was equal to everyone I spoke to, that would make me stop being scared of people in authority.
Right.
I wanted that magic bullet. And I always thought, there's something that other people have that I'm missing. I felt that I've been born with, still missing something that made me feel inferior to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I laugh now because of the way I used to think about myself. And my search eventually took me to a coach many years ago. And he said, the only reason you feel so unconfident and you have such low self-esteem is because you believe your limiting beliefs are true about you. And he showed me that they weren't true. We went through processes together to dissolve them. And that's when I realized, actually, I'd made it all up. I'd made up all my misery all those
Yes.
years. I'd caused my suffering. No one else had ever caused my suffering.
We're always
And
comparing
that was,
ourselves to others, and we just never
oh
think.
gosh,
We only see the
comparing.
bright, shiny, like social media, we see the bright part of their lives, but we don't see what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. And there's a great saying that we compare our insides to people's outsides.
Yeah.
We do it. I think we're all guilty of it to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very, very damaging to our self-esteem.
Yeah.
is hugely damaging, and young kids are doing it from a much earlier age than when you and I were young kids. It's
Hmm.
accelerated. And I know you've got a grandchild, and they're on screens, they're comparing, they're wishing that they could have what other people have. So it is a very vicious cycle.
Yeah. And it's mindset. I'm reading Atomic Habits for my book club right now. I never read that book.
That's a great book club. If anyone wants to join the book club that Ted is running along with Tom, is amazing, and they're picking great books.
Yeah. But it's not about setting goals. You set a goal, you achieve that goal, and then you put that weight back on that you just lost because it's a goal. But it's about shifting your perspective, your mindset to who do I want to be? Not just I want to lose weight or I want to stop smoking.
Yes, absolutely. It's more than what I want to have, is how I want to be, because that is everything. It's our identity. And we can have a very poor self-identity. We can feel that we're not good enough, that we're not deserving, that we're flawed, that we're not worthy of good stuff. And that's the identity we carry around in life. And this is how we show up. This is how we talk to people. This is how we market our business, or we don't market it because we're too scared to put ourselves out there. So all of this doesn't just have an impact on our relationships. It has an impact, a huge impact in our business. And the funny thing is that we can make up all sorts of excuses about why we don't deserve to have stuff and other people do. So but for myself, I used to think, well, my sister deserves to be the successful business owner, but I don't deserve to be, because, that's who she is. And I'm someone who's just going to bob along at a much lower level in life.
Right.
And that was just the identity. I didn't even realize it was identity I was carrying around with me. It's like carrying a big sack of stones on your back, and it weighs you down, and you just can't run with life. And it was only when I realized that I'd made up all these stories about what was true about me. And when I dissolved these stories and they weren't true about me, it was like, well, I haven't disappeared. I'm still here. So they were never a part of who I am anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then that allowed me to intentionally choose. So this took a long time. This didn't happen overnight. But I was able to sort of choose, well, how do I want to be? And how much freedom do I want about myself and about my life? And it's obviously a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
But now I know that actually anything is possible for me. And I can take on that identity and believe that I can be that person who feels comfortable in her own skin, who can talk to anyone as an equal, who can have the confidence in herself to try things and take risks, and who can sort of cope with having no's from her audience, and that's all okay. And I don't waste too much time comparing myself to other people, because like you said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes in their lives, and they may
That's what
show
we
their
get
very
caught up
best.
in. We try to
We
compare
do.
ourselves to others, but when we just be ourselves and comfortable in our own skin, people like us more because we're authentic.
Exactly. And it takes the struggle out, and we could relax a bit more and say, well, not everyone's going to like me, and that's fine, because we don't actually need everyone to like us in life.
Right.
But we can show up more as our authentic self. And actually, conversely, that's when people like us more.
Yeah.
So when we're trying to get people to like us, we actually push them away because they can sense that we're trying too hard.
Right. Or
And then when we
sometimes
relax.
you see people on an interview, they say one thing, and you see them on a different interview, they say the opposite thing. Like, well, what do they really stand for? Who are they?
Exactly. Who are they? And they're just trying to please everyone. But they get caught out because you can't please everyone and say the right thing to everyone. You have to say what you believe to be true. And that may risk alienating some people. But the people who are ready to hear your message, they will want to hear more from you.
Yeah. You attract the right people. Because you attract those other people, they're not really going to be your best clients. You're not going to really be able to help them. And it's not going to be a good relationship.
Yeah. And it can be a matter of trial and error in marketing, and this is something that I realized. And I didn't know about this. And the penny dropped one day. I was writing, it must have been writing an email or a blog post. And I was thinking, so what do my audience want to hear from me? And I thought, hang on a minute, what if I flip that around? And I thought, and I wrote about what I want to share with my audience rather than what I think they want to hear from me. Because when I'm thinking about what do they want to hear from me, then I don't feel that I'm being authentic or writing from the heart. Because I'm thinking, okay, so they may want me to say this or say that, but that doesn't mean that that's what I want to write and share. So I thought, okay, if I share what I really want to share, then the people who are interested in hearing from me will hang around, and the people who aren't interested will just move away. But I don't need millions of clients.
Right.
I just need a good few clients to work with. And that's when I switched it around and I started putting out the message that I want to put out, that I felt was the most important message.
Yeah.
And I wonder how
funny.
many people do that.
You see politicians that give speeches to please the audience rather than to be themselves.
Exactly. And when they speak from the heart, they're really connected with their message. That's when it feels authentic and very, very powerful.
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs maybe are scared of saying that. And I've worked with some clients who've said, I can't say what I really want to say in case people think I'm too woo-woo or I'm too wacky or, you know, I'm just too unusual or too different. So I've got to try and say something that's safe. But their heart isn't in it. Right. And they don't have that success until they let go of people's expectations of them and trying to satisfy their expectations and just doing what they feel is right for them. Yeah. And when you think about the goals that we set in life, how many of our goals have been set by what we think our parents expect from us, or our partner expects from us, or our, you know, teachers expected from us? So how many of our goals are really goals that we want for ourselves, irrespective of what other people expect from us?
Yeah. Or that teacher that said something like, I remember doing writing classes and I wasn't very good because the teacher didn't teach us a whole lot, but you get that, you know, your grades back and it wasn't very good and a lot of red marks on your paper. And now that I love to write, but if I would have had that encouragement at that time, it'd been a whole different story.
Yeah.
It took like 40 years later, I discovered, hey, I love to write.
Yeah. And I love getting your emails. Your emails are so brilliant. I always read them.
And they come right from the heart. I don't try to please anyone. It's just like, this is what's on my mind today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not pushing anything. You're not selling some of the emails. You're just getting a message out there and you can feel it's top of your mind whenever you write.
Yeah. And you were just saying, I've been watching you for 2 or 3 years marketing and you just keep getting better and better and your message is really clear now. And you said your business has kind of taken off lately, like 3 things about the mindset really helped.
Yes, I play around with lots of different strategies, mindset strategies, but there's a 3-step combo that I'm doing and that I'm sharing with my clients that's just had a huge effect on my business success. And those are 3 strategies which are sort of put together and they sit side by side, but I interweave them as well. And what I say to all of my clients is create a daily mindset practice. Do it every single day for the rest of your life. Don't just drop weeks out because you'll find your results go down when you're not doing your daily mindset practice, and you'll find when you get back into it, your results go up. And I know that this is something that you really agree with this as well.
Yeah.
And I've taken it on board because I feel that with my clients, I have to walk my walk, I have to talk my talk, I have to do what I'm asking them to do. And that's really pushed me to, you know, create this daily mindset practice. And I've been doing it every day for a while now. And it's so amazing because I keep getting these calls that pop up in my calendar. And I think, I don't know where that person found me from or why they've, you know, arranged this sales conversation. And it's just, it sometimes just feels it's magical that it's happening like this. Mm-hmm. And it's really, it's wonderful. So the 3-step strategy that I do is I look at my unproductive patterns of behavior. which are normally avoidance patterns of behavior, things that I avoid doing in my business, procrastinating on certain things, lack of focus. And I identify that pattern of behavior. So maybe, I've dissolved so many over the years, but let me talk about one that I'm working with a financial advisor client. So his pattern of behavior is he doesn't reach out to his network to arrange sales conversations because he fears rejection, and he's scared that he'll think he's disturbing them if he gets in touch with them. But there's that real feeling of unworthiness at the heart of this. So we found his pattern of unproductive behavior. We found the limiting beliefs which are holding that pattern of behavior in place. So, he feels the fear of rejection. He feels that he hasn't got the value to offer them, that his competition are better than them. And when we can find the root cause of that avoidance behavior, and then I show my clients how to dissolve those limiting beliefs using my unstoppable success process, they are dissolved from the subconscious, and then we plant new powerful beliefs in that place. So that's one strategy. The next strategy is one that is so very powerful, and very few people do it. And this is all about goals. Most people work towards their goals. So we feel our goal is somewhere out there in the future, and that we need a step-by-step strategy to get to our goal.
Right.
Well, this way of working with goals, and this has been pioneered by an amazing guy called Neville Goddard, who passed away in the early 70s. There's lots of talks from Neville Goddard for free on YouTube, and lots of his books are available online as well for free. And his way of working with goals was to think from the goal. So, we were talking about identity. You act, you feel, you think as if you already have your goal, right, as if you already have what you want. And don't just think it, you 100% believe it's true. And you take on the identity of that, say, entrepreneur who's working with ideal clients, who's fully booked up, who has X amount per month income, who has plenty of time for their family and friends. So you take on that persona, and you use your powerful imagination to live the life you want in your imagination, and you believe it's 100% true. And the physical world then becomes secondary, and you believe that the physical world would eventually mirror your imagination. And that's what it does, because the physical world is just a mirror of our thinking, and the physical world is a reflection of the results we get as a result of our thinking. Most of the time we're thinking negative thoughts about ourselves. That's going to go wrong, that won't work, I'm going to slip up again, I'm going to mess up, and therefore the world mirrors that back to us. So what we do is we spend time in that identity of being who we really want to be and imagining it to be true. Yeah. And we do that every single day. So that's the second strategy. And the third strategy is a way of being really clear and focused every day. So you work on the stuff in your business that really matters, and you remove all the fluff that's not going to bring in more clients and revenue. And this is what I call the peace process. And it's a way of dissolving in real time throughout the day. Every time you get a negative thought, you disrupt it straight away. And so it can't take root, and you can't start spinning it in your head. And then an hour later, you've wasted all that time worrying about what your competition are doing, or worrying that that client, is going to cancel the arrangement, or you're going to mess up on the webinar, whatever it is. You cut off negative thinking at its root. And that frees up your mind. That frees up your mind to be very clear and to be able to work on your business in a very systematic, inspired, aligned way. So that's the third strategy. And I do all three of these every single day.
And how long does that take you every day?
I do about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning. And then I do one of the processes in bed just before I go to sleep. Well, one of the processes, the peace process, where I'm dissolving negative thoughts before they start spinning in my head. I do that throughout the day. And I'm training myself. It's like training your mind. And the big thing here is that the ego is not allowed to run riot in your mind, because the ego feeds on negative thoughts. That's its lifeblood.
Right.
They're telling you that, you're not good enough, other people are better than you, you're never going to have the success you want, you're never going to have as much money as you want, that, so and so doesn't really like you, and all of this stuff. This is the stuff that gives it life. And so using these 3 strategies, we take on the ego.
Yeah.
And we're saying, ego, get out of here. I'm not listening to you. You're not the truth about me. The truth about me is that I'm unlimited. And I want to spend more time trying to connect inside of me rather than looking at the physical world and seeing all the flaws that are out there.
Right.
So for me, the less attention I give to the physical world and believing that this is all true, I spend more time going internally and connecting with, who I really am, whatever that means to people.
Right.
Everyone's got their own vision of what that is. And for me, it is, we are all unlimited beings. And the more I can try and just get a glimpse of that every now and then, even if for a second, the more I believe I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing is that opportunities start opening up and people start popping up, and it just feels amazing.
It's interesting that little voice inside our head is by default negative. So once you catch it and make it positive, you attract, it opens up so many doors. Like you said, clients are appearing out of nowhere.
Yes, it opens up so many doors. And it's actually exactly the same imagination that we use to create all our limiting talk. We use exactly that same imagination to create the reality we truly want. Mm-hmm. And to assume we already have what we want. So Neville Goddard spoke about the law of assumption instead of the law of attraction, because the law of attraction is we have to attract something. The law of assumption is I've already got it. All I need to do is to own it. It could be challenging because the ego keeps saying, but you haven't got it yet. Because if you look at the physical world, look at your bank balance. You haven't got that you're imagining in your bank balance. Right. Or you haven't got that many clients in your calendar. So it's like turning our thinking around and saying, that is not real. My imagination is real, because we create everything from our thinking. Everything has been created from a thought. Yeah. Everything. So we put more trust into that and more faith in saying, okay, I'll keep imagining and assuming I have it and owning it. And then sooner or later, the physical world will catch up with this. Right. And it'll mirror it back. So as soon as we see some evidence of this, it's like, okay, I like this. It takes a lot of the struggle out of life. Mm-hmm. And the lovely thing about this, Ted, is that we don't have to figure out the how. We just dwell in the end state, the end desire of what we want, and the hows show up. Yeah. And then we take the aligned action.
So you'd have to be aware and be open to when those signs come to you, like, take this action. This is the right action.
Exactly. Yes.
That's so much easier than chasing dreams.
And grinding. I mean, it can be a big grind day in, day out, can't it?
Yeah, we've been there.
We've been there, and it happens. And it's funny because, when things go really well, my ego will pop up and say, this isn't going to last. Right. You're not being grateful enough for all the good stuff you're getting. It's going to slip away again. So that's when the process to dissolve limiting beliefs really kicks in for me. So the other day I worked on those limiting beliefs. I'm not being grateful enough. It's going to get taken away. It can't be this easy, right, etc. And I worked on those limiting beliefs because I know if I don't, then I can self-sabotage again. And then drop my mindset because things are getting too good. And therefore, all that stuff kicks in. So then I can just get rid of those limiting beliefs and hopefully keep this flow going. So that's why those 3 strategies, when they're intertwined, and then you can think, okay, I need a bit of that, I need a bit of that. And they just keeps everything going.
It's kind of similar to when I was going through coaching certification. Somebody wrote a book, Taming Your Gremlin. That little gremlin voice inside your head, when it appears, you just let it go, push it away.
Just let it go. And don't buy into it. That is the truth about you, because it absolutely is not the truth.
Right. Exactly. This is great. So how can people work with you and learn more about what you do?
Well, I have you can come to my website, ninacooke.co.uk. I've got lots of videos on there. I've got lots of blog posts on there. I talk about this extensively. I have a scorecard where you can find the biggest limiting beliefs that are blocking your success and you're having a bigger income. So these are very specific beliefs that you rate yourself, which gives you a really good idea of how you are self-sabotaging yourself, of all these beliefs that you hold to be true, which aren't the truth at all. So that's another way you can, score yourself on that scorecard. And then if you want to have a chat, get in touch with me and then see whether there's something I can do to help you to get your goals more easily. And so there's plenty of my stuff on LinkedIn as well. So there's various ways of finding me and hanging out with me.
Just search for Nina Cooke on Google and you'll come up on LinkedIn or Facebook. Or are you on YouTube?
I am on YouTube. I tend to be mostly on LinkedIn, which is where you and I met, and YouTube, but there's a ton of stuff on my website as well. I try to share a lot of content. You
do create awesome video tips and great emails.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Nina. It's been a pleasure talking to you again.
Oh, it's always fun to talk to you, Ted.
And we'll talk